Let's make a pufferfish today that we can turn into a Father's Day card. So these are the things that we will need. Paint, and if you don't have paint, we'll talk about how you can use crayons or markers. Forks, or a fork, that's going to be our paintbrush. Something to put our paint on. Recycling bin is great to find that. Something to put on our table or desk so we don't get it messy. And then I'm using a blue background, and I'm going to need white for eyes and a message, and I'm going to use orange for his fins. Again, if you don't have construction paper, you can take a white piece of paper and have your child take a blue crayon and just scribble all over it and make it blue. So, first we need our paint. Okay, so we have our paint here ready to go, and we are going to make the pufferfish using our fork in the paint. So this is going to be especially good for some of our students who might have tactile defensiveness, as we call it. They're not as keen as others to touch certain things or be messy. So this gives them a distance between their fingers and the paint, but you can also use your fingers to do this. So I'm just going to put some red on my fork, and I'm going to go up and out. Just going to do like a half circle shape. And remember, you can always use those visual cues. So you could draw a line and then say, let's go from the middle out to the line, that sort of thing. Okay, so I have my red top, and then I'm going to do a yellow bottom. And same thing. Only this time I'm pulling down towards myself. This is good to work on kind of the directionality language, as well as some stabilizing with helper hand, because otherwise that paper is going to move. And you can totally do this with a paintbrush. You can do it with a lot of different things. There's the fork. And then we'll have to let this dry for a little bit before we do some finishing touches on it. But just to show you, you could also find something with some texture, so like a ball or one of those loofahs that you use in the shower, and you can put the paint on that. And have a similar kind of effect. If you don't have paint, like I said, you can also use crayons or markers. So you might give your child a circle to go out from, and then just draw like a big flower kind of raise. Tell them they're making a sun over and over and over again. Do multiple colors and whatnot. That'll totally work as well. So I'm going to work on the fins next, and this is something you might want to prep ahead of time for your kiddos, since they might not be ready to make cuts like this. If they are, feel free to have them do that. And you can also work on folding. So when we fold, we bring one side over to the other. I'm going to make a line on this side so you can see it. bring this side over to that side, and you can see that black line is not on the edge, so I have to keep going, keep going. There we go. And then my left hand is now holding it together while right hand pinches. Okay, so these are the fins that you might want to create ahead of time, as I said. But you can have your child, either before or after cutting, you can have them practice their straight lines, so you can give them something to trace and have them practice going down. Because remember, we always start our letters at the top and go down, so it's best to learn that now. So having them go top, down, and same on this one. Or you can give them dots to connect, so a little bit trickier. Or you can just have them do a line all by themselves. And now we're going to need some eyes. So again, you can use googly eyes, or you can have your eyes prepped ahead of time for your student, because this might get a bit tricky. Or you can do kind of a modeling technique where you draw a circle. Say, watch, I'm going to draw a circle around and stop. And then see if they can do a circle. See if they can make it the same size. Around and stop. And then you could give them a space to color in and practice coloring inside the lines. And to help them stay inside the lines, you might just rest your hand on their wrist so that they have to use and get used to using those fingers. So there we have two eyes. Now I'll cut those out. And when cutting on a circle, you can start anywhere, but right-handers are going to go this direction. We're not going to close our scissors. We're going to turn the paper with our helper hand while our dominant hand does all the squeezing. So we have two eyes, and we're going to need a mouth. So again, you can practice with creating circles. So you can have them make the circle, and then you can have them color it black. While trying to stay inside the lines. And for bigger spaces, you can use your wrist a bit, but for smaller spaces, we're using our fingertips. Just our fingers, no wrist. If it's really small, like that. If it's a bit bigger, then I might use my wrist a little bit more. Okay, so cutting on a circle. Right-handers start on the right. Don't close our scissors all the way. Turn with left hand. Right hand squeezing. Okay, so we have a mouth, two eyes. So now we can make a message. Most of you might not be ready to do writing yet, or your student might not be ready to do writing. So you can do this part, or you can have them trace it, either way. If you're going to have them trace it, it would be great if you kind of made your own three-lined paper. It doesn't have to be in marker. I'm just doing it in marker so that it shows up. But you could make your own 3 lines to write on so that they get used to 3-lined paper and using that as a guide for their letters. So and then if your student is working on cutting on the lines, you could give them lines to help you cut this out and have them stay on the line while they're cutting. So line up those scissors, have them squeeze and gradually push their hand forward and up a little. Forward, and then with that helper hand up, if the paper becomes floppy, move helper hand up. So now we can put our card together and finish up our puffer fish. So I am going to put the eyes here, and since the paint's not quite dried, I can use it as my glue. And then has the mouth there. And again, you can incorporate the language. I'm going to put 2 eyes next to each other and a mouth below or under the eyes. And I'm going to do a fin next to or on the right side of his face and one on the left side. And now we can glue our message on. Again, have them work on opening the glue stick. If it's too hard, just pop it off and put it back on a little bit so that all they have to do is use some amount of force to pull it off and be successful. And then try and see if they can hold the glue stick with one hand and twist up with the other. And as we talk about gluing, I like to outline to reinforce shape ideas as well as amount of glue. So I go down, over, up, over, because I'm making a rectangle. And I'm putting it on top or above my puffer fish. And again, down, over, up, over, little in the middle. You are a swell dad. And this one is going to go on the bottom or below the puffer fish. And there is our Father's Day card with a puffer fish to let him know how swell he is, just like a puffer fish swells up. Happy Father's Day. And remember, Father's Day could be also a day when you celebrate anyone in your life who keeps you safe and happy. So you could also make this for grandma or for a neighbor or a friend and just put a different title there.